Hello everyone, this is a bit of a slash update video, but mostly something I've needed to do for 2 months now at least. So yeah, it's an update video, but also a bit of a guide of sorts. I'm kind of not the best at these, so forgive me. It's all unscripted, on a whim. But today I decide to announce to you guys, my subscribers, and anyone who stumbles upon this video like a year from now, or just maybe through some weird recommendation tunnel. Today is when I announced the revamp of my Patreon. Now you may wonder, you have a Patreon or didn't the Patreon not have much? And the answers to both that are yes, I did, and yes, I do. So here's how my Patreon used to work. It used to be a tip jar of sorts. That's what I intended it to be. But I also decided to make it so people who back ass on tier would get my episodes early, as soon as they're available and ready to go. Problem is, I always like to make my episodes kind of consistent and come out on the weekend, if possible, usually Saturday or Sunday if I'm really busy with an episode. So if I finish on Friday, I don't want to hold it back for a week just for Patreon because I feel this, kind of scummy. That's just me though. I like early access, but I also don't like to hold my episodes back unless I have a reason for doing so. So because of that, I decide that I just do early access and make it as early as will allowed. If I finish an episode on Friday and I feel it was good to release the next day, I would do an early access, but it'd be 24 hours of early access. And even though a few of my friends backed it at the $3 tier, and I didn't include friends, it just didn't always work out well, and I didn't really get many people to sign up. But to be fair, I almost never promoted it. The only place I really consistently promoted it was in the end cards of my videos. And I did that on purpose because I don't feel like it's necessarily courteous to constantly tell people I have a Patreon in my videos, especially if like years from now and whatnot, Patreon like dies or I put on a Blu-ray and people who watch at home will be like, what the heck's a Patreon? What's this about? So I try to not talk about Patreon in the actual videos I make because I want the retrospectives to be on their own. That's why I don't want to do sponsorships and whatnot, unless I can separate them out right, or if I trust sponsor, because a lot of people get stupid sponsorships that I would never take up in a million years, even if they offered me 50 grand. So, yeah, Patreon was more of a tip jar that got you some early access, but it varied depending on what I could do. So, like on Friday, if I was in the middle of offering early access and the episodes would launch the next day, I'd still launch the next day. I already went over this. But basically, it was more of a tip jar, and that's still what's gonna be, but I still decided it'd be better to revamp it and push it a tiny bit more. Not on my main episodes, but on my social medias and stuff, my YouTube, so that people would know that, yeah, it would help me a lot if people could pledge to Patreon and help with the channel. Of course, that depends because, I buy a lot of stuff already, so in terms of stuff I need help with, not much I need, which is why it's a tip jar mostly, because I can kind of self-sustain myself, but a little bit always helps. Mostly just helps other creators at this point, which I'm pretty happy with too. But yeah, the old system was basically $1 got you the scripts to all my Eternal Memories episode. The moment they were done, even if it's weeks ahead or even months ahead in one case, then you get a script as it is, and even though the final episode will have differences from the script most likely, you can still get a glimpse at what I think of a certain subject. Though of course you could spoil it too for yourself or friends, and I don't recommend you do that, but it's an option I make for people who want it. Because I think it's nice to be able to look at scripts and have an insight into the creation process, and I know normally not anyone will really care about that, so $1 seems fair for me. And then I did it so that $2 I do behind the scenes blog posts. So basically, I talk about what inspired the episode we made, when it started, issues I had, ideas that got cut, etc. These are super fun, but I often get behind on these. Though thankfully, lately, I've been all caught up. You can pledge right now, though not for that. More on that in a bit. And you can get basically everything for just, well, $2 at least for a bit. You could get all the blog posts and see behind the scenes of every Eternal Memories episode to date. Unscripted memories don't get this because they are unscripted on a whim and I don't have much to say about them. And if I have behind the scenes trivia, I just share it in the comments or the description or on demand, really. Same goes for the Eternal Memory stuff. If you're dying to know like how I made something happen, just ask. I'm not gonna paywall you because I offered behind the scenes footage elsewhere because, well, it's not footage, but information. Just ask me and I'll tell you what you want to know. It's a nice little chronicle of my behind the scenes, and I like that. I felt Patreon was good for that. And then for a bit, I think it was a $4 tier, which I basically abandoned. I had the idea to just do all the raw footage of my live action bits unedited, just from the video card directly, straight from the video card, and put it in a playlist that's unlisted so you can see my fumbles and all the funny stuff. I stopped doing this around season 3 because, to be honest, it wasn't really entertaining, and most of the time, if I got a take good, I just was just normal episode with no editing, and it was boring, and almost no one looked at the playlist. Even I don't have many Patreons, but if not many of the Patreons who pledged saw the playlist, it made me think that it's not really a good idea. So that's gonna be one of the things that's gonna retire the raw footage playlist. You can still access it, I just won't update it anymore. But yeah, the $3 tier was the big attraction in my opinion, and that was the early access. I already mentioned all the caveats with that and whatnot. But then $5 I had what I thought was cool, and you got credited in the end slate of Eternal Memories and Unscripted Memories episodes. I did forget a few times, but I'm gonna remedy that by making a nice little card I can just slip in at the end of episodes instead of having to type out with an effect every time. But yeah, this is a nice way I can shout out supporters on Patreon by just saying thanks to them for their support. So then there's a $10 tier, which I only made because one of my relatives wanted to donate $10, and I told them they don't need to, but they want to anyway, so I made a tier on a whim. And that was originally so they would be credited in unboxing videos and whatnot, along with the normal Eternal Memories Unscripted Memory stuff. But then I realized that, well, there's not much of a point. Like, really, there's not really much of a point to being credited in unboxing videos, especially since nowadays I make so darn many of them. Like, it's nice to be credited, but since unboxing videos don't necessarily take long for me to make and are super easy for me to edit, I kind of stopped. And I did ask my Patreon if that was okay. They said it was fine, because it's a relative, of course. So that's nothing I'm going to retire. So from that ramble about what my current tiers were like and whatnot, here's what my new fancy dancy tiers would be like, and there's just 3 in particular I'm going to focus on. For $1, you will get early access up to a week before the public launch. This means that in cases like, if I release the episode a day early on Patreon, and it's going to come out on the weekend for the public, you can just see it a day early for $1. Same if it's a week early. If it's 2 weeks or more on that later, it'll be the other tier. But it's a nice little benefit, easy gateway for people who just want to support but don't have much to give. And the best part is, it's a per episode basis, so if I don't make an episode in a month, you get off for the month. And if you just want to, if I make 3 episodes in a month and you only want to pay for 1, you can do that. I won't charge you for all 3 unless you want me to. Patreon's very handy about that stuff. And then I also have, like before, the scripts of all my episodes. You can just see on a whim, which is nice. And I'm also going to move the behind-the-scenes stuff to this too to make it even more enticing, because behind-the-scenes scripts and early videos I feel are a good combo. Just let beginners or just people who don't have much to spend but want to support the channel get enough insight without having to break the bank or feel like they're, in debt to me because I don't need it. That's the main point. It's a tip jar. I'm trying to offer bonuses with it. So the $3 tier is going to be a bit interesting. It's early access like before, but, we'll get you all the $1 benefits. You will get a benefit where if I finish an episode months in advance or weeks in advance, and I don't want to launch it for multiple weeks in a row, usually if I have other episodes in the pipeline, or I need to time it around something, or I'm just busy, then you will get that super early access as soon as it's done. Of course, this means if I want to edit an episode later, I'll have to edit the episode and add stuff to it later, so you may get rough cuts or exclusive videos I scrapped. Because there have been a few videos I scrapped that I uploaded as Patreon exclusives, but they aren't that good. So these will be in that category too, because they aren't that good and I don't really feel the need to put them anywhere else. But some of them might be released in the public, depending on the demand, so that just ask and I'll answer. But yeah, the $3 tier is mostly just getting super early access and supporting me more because it's a tip jar. Pretty helpful, I do say so myself. Of course, it also includes a raw footage benefit because the raw footage is, well, war, and I'm not updating anymore. You can get all that with the super early access too, because the $4 tier is redundant if I'm not updating it anymore. So might as well give what I have as a bonus. And last but not least, the $5 tier is basically the same everything before, but with crediting in eternal and unscripted memories videos. That's basically it. 3 tiers, super handy. $1, $3, and $5. $10 tier is abolished because it wasn't really needed, but if you want to pledge more than 5, you're free to do so. It's just up to you, because like I said, I'm making my Patreon more of a tip jar instead of a means to leech money off people, because, well, I don't need to do that. But if you want to support me and keep me going, maybe help me fund some stuff for unboxings or fund equipment, I don't really need much except more lights, as you can maybe tell from this. But just, it's a good way to show support. And if you want to see episodes early, it's a nice benefit. Just chip in for $1 or chip in for $3 if you really want to see something. So with those tiers out of the way, that sounds really good, right? So what is this gonna mean for the show and YouTube? Like, am I gonna paywall stuff? Am I gonna change my format? Not much. And here's what I mean by not much instead of nothing at all. Because there is gonna be some changes, but not bad changes, I feel. So in the past, my biggest problem has been for, let's say, a Pokemon Mystery Dungeon retrospective. I do them in order, script-wise and production-wise. But if I get stuck or demotivated on something because of, needing to grab footage on a long-ass RPG, like with Explosive Sky, I get stuck on that episode, and all the other episodes languish in development hell because I have to do the one first. But I decided that maybe, since I am so passionate about the other games and I want to talk about them more urgently, I could finish what I can of those episodes, and if I manage to make a fully complete episode out of it, I will make it out of order and release it early to $3 Patreons who want to back me, and they can see the early cut of the whatever part I'm working on or release, and then when it's proper chronological order, it will be released to everyone as is, or with edits to make it, modernize if something new happened regarding the subject I talk about. So basically, if I finish an episode early because I'm passionate about it, you get a rough cut of the final version months or weeks in advance because I have an episode order I'm following, and if I want to break from that and finish one early, you can go check it out when it's done instead of having to wait for me to finish whatever episode I'm stuck on. That's not going to happen too much, I feel. I did finish a script for an episode 2-3 months from now, ultra early, that you can just see for the $1, because scripts aren't exempted from this. But if I end up filming the episode, I kind of doubt I'll film that early, you can see it for $3. Likewise, if I just make an episode in a normal timeline, but I am busy for 2 weeks, then you'll see it for 2 weeks early in the $3 tier. So yeah, just really ask me if you have any questions about my Patreon or whatnot, or the tiers. And this should be going on the Patreon itself, so if you came in from Patreon, hello. And yeah, let me know if you have any questions or comments on the video. But in the meantime, my Patreon is basically rebooted. 3 tiers should hopefully be more refined, and hopefully should be back in style. I do have to reorganize a bunch of stuff from the $2 tier that I now scrapped and whatnot, but yeah. That should do it for this update video, and take care everyone. Bye!